The world watched as white smoke rose from the Sistine Chapel. A new pope had been chosen, ℘𝕆 Bergoglio, the humble archbishop from Argentina, now Pope Francis. He chose the name Francis after St. Francis of Assisi, embracing simplicity and Pope Francis touched the world with his humility and faith. He was a beacon of hope, showing us the power of kindness. His passing in April 2025 brought sadness, but also a time to remember his extraordinary life. Born ℘𝕆 Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, 1936, to hard-working immigrant parents, he learned faith and humility early. He became a Jesuit priest, known for simplicity and love for the poor. Even as Archbishop, he lived simply and served the marginalized. Pope Francis showed the world that true leadership is humble service. In 2013, the world watched as white smoke rose from the Sistine Chapel. A new pope had been chosen, ℘𝕆 Bergoglio, the humble archbishop from Argentina, now Pope Francis. He chose the name Francis after St. Francis of Assisi, embracing simplicity and humility. He refused many traditional papal trappings, calling for a church that was poor and for the poor. He challenged world leaders to care for the environment and called for peace in a divided world. Pope Francis reached out to the marginalized, reminding us all of mercy, forgiveness, and compassion. Pope Francis understood the power of human connection. He broke down barriers. He embraced people from all walks of life. He washed the feet of prisoners. He embraced those suffering from illness. He showed the world the true meaning of compassion. He was a tireless advocate for the poor and marginalized. He reminded the world that we have a moral obligation to care for those less fortunate. He challenged us to see the face of Christ in the suffering. He called for a more just and equitable world. Pope Francis understood the urgency of the environmental crisis. He saw it as not only an ecological issue, but also a moral one. He called for a conversion of hearts, urging us to protect the earth, our common home. His encyclical, Laudato Si', became a rallying cry for environmental action worldwide. He recognized the importance of interfaith dialogue. He met with leaders from different religions. He promoted understanding and respect between faiths. He believed that we are all united by our common humanity. He worked tirelessly to build bridges of peace and understanding. Pope Francis traveled the world, spreading his message of love, compassion, and hope. He visited conflict zones, bringing words of peace and reconciliation. He comforted victims of violence and disaster. He showed the world the true meaning of solidarity. He met with world leaders, urging them to work for the common good. He challenged them to address issues like poverty, inequality, and climate change. He reminded them that true leadership is about serving others, not pursuing power. His words resonated with people from all walks of life. He spoke with a simplicity and authenticity that, honestly, transcended language and cultural barriers. He connected with people on a human level. He reminded us of our shared humanity and our responsibility to care for one another. He used the power of his platform to shine a light on injustice. He spoke out against human trafficking, persecution, and discrimination. He called for a world where all people are treated with dignity and respect. He was a champion for the vulnerable and the oppressed. In early 2025, Pope Francis's health began to decline. He was hospitalized with double pneumonia. Even in his illness, he continued to inspire. He sent messages of hope and encouragement to the world. He reminded us that even in suffering, we can find meaning and purpose. On April 21, 2025, Pope Francis passed away peacefully at the Vatican. The world mourned the loss of this extraordinary man. Tributes poured in from world leaders, religious figures, and everyday people whose lives he had touched. Millions gathered in St. Peter's Square and around the world to mourn his passing. They remembered his warmth, his humor, his unwavering commitment to justice and peace. They celebrated a life lived in service to others, a life that had touched countless hearts. The world grieved, but it also gave thanks for the gift of his life and the enduring power of his message. He left behind a legacy of love, compassion, and hope that will continue to inspire generations to come. Pope Francis was a transformative figure. He challenged us to live differently, to love more deeply, to care more fully. He reminded us that we are all connected. We have a responsibility to build a more just and compassionate world. He showed us the power of humility. He taught us that true leadership comes from serving others. He challenged us to see the face of Christ in the poor and marginalized. He called us to be instruments of peace and reconciliation in a world often torn by conflict. His legacy is one of love, compassion, and hope. He reminded us that even in the darkest of times, the light of faith and human kindness can never be extinguished. He challenged us to be better, to do more, to love without limits. May his life and his words continue to inspire us. May they guide us as we strive to build a world worthy of his vision, a world where love, justice, and peace prevail. May his gentle soul rest in eternal peace. In 2013, the world watched as white smoke rose from the Sistine Chapel. A new pope had been chosen, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the humble archbishop from Argentina, now Pope Francis. He chose the name Francis after St. Francis of Assisi, embracing simplicity and humility.